Okay, this is our last video, video A29, and then it's time for your summer. Okay, so I gave you an assignment to try to fill in the unit circle entirely. Okay, there are all the angle measures circled in green, and we have the ordered pairs, but remember, the x-coordinate is the cosine, the y-coordinate is the sine for each of these. And so I'm going to ask you some questions now. I'm going to say things like, what's the cosine of 210? And you're going to quickly be able to find that it's negative square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and so let's learn how to do it as quickly as we can. So let's start, I guess I should label this. Okay, applying the unit circle. Let's find the cosine of 315 degrees. Okay, and so we have to know where that is on the unit circle. What I really encourage my kids to do, I know some teachers discourage this, but do this until you know it. Draw a tiny little unit circle and count around until you get to 315 degrees. I think the easiest way to get there is say, well, 360 minus 45 is right there, right in the middle, because I went minus 45. You could, though, go 45, 90. You can get to 180 pretty easily. You could even get to 270 pretty easily and start from there and go 45 more. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to be able to do is locate that. And then cosine is x. How far to the right did we move? Well, if you're doing that thing with your pencil, you'd go over 1, 2 points. Because remember, you have these 3 important points. The 45s are always right in the middle. And so I went over 2, I went to the right, so the cosine of 315 over 2. So positive square root of 2 over 2. And you can check back at your unit circle and see that. But you don't need the unit circle for any of these. You kind of have it memorized with the 1, 2, 3 thing. Okay, let's try the sine of 180. Okay, so sine is y, 180. That's a very simple one. 180 degrees is right there. Sine, up or down, well, it's not up or down at all. So the sine is 0. And once again, you can see that right on your unit circle. If you were to type this into your calculator, it would give you 0. Okay, let's try the tangent of pi over 3. Okay, so one thing that we need to know from geometry is that tangent is sine divided by cosine. You probably learned that. Right now I'm not going to do that, but go ahead and make these ratios. If you want to see it opposite over hypotenuse, adjacent over hypotenuse, and reduce the hypotenuse, and you get opposite over adjacent or tangent. Okay, but for us, we want to now divide the y-coordinate by the x-coordinate. So draw a little circle. Find pi over 3. So that's one of the pi over 6's. Okay, so in this quadrant right here, I know I have those 3 important points. 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6. So we're at this one. Okay, the sine, that's 3 up, and so it's a square root of 3 over 2. The cosine, it's 1 to the right, so it's 1 over 2. And just so you know, you could say I'm going to divide this by that, but the 2's do reduce. Some quick math here, and I get my answer, square root of 3. Let's try another one. Secant. Let's do the secant of 3 pi over 2. Secant, remember, is just cosine upside down. So let's go ahead and find that angle. Okay, 3 pi over 2. Now, I'd kind of like for you to be able to count by pi over 2's very quickly. Pi over 2 is 90 degrees. So I have 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, right there. Okay, and so the cosine of this one, right or left, is 0. And I could poorly write the reciprocal of 0, which is 1 over 0, but we can't divide by 0, so the secant of 3 pi over 2 is undefined. Okay, you'd get an error on your calculator if you type that in. Let's try another one. Let's try the cosecant of negative 135 degrees. Okay, notice that we're switching back and forth degrees and radians. So a negative angle, we have to count this way now. So negative 45, negative 90, negative 135 right here, right in the middle. cosecant is the reciprocal of sine, so 1 over the sine. Okay, we moved down 2 to get there. Okay, so this is 1 over whatever that y coordinate would be, the square root of 2 over 2. But this, just remember, this is the reciprocal, so all I really need to do is take the reciprocal of that, which is 2 over the square root of 2. And then I remember I can't leave that radical on the bottom. And so I get 2 times the square root of 2 over 2. Those reduce. And so my answer is just the square root of 2. Oh, and I made a mistake. Try to figure out what the mistake is. It's the mistake I always make. And since we went down, this should have been negative. All along, that should have been negative. And so my answer is actually negative square root of 2. Okay, so I hope you're getting the idea of how to find all of these. Let's do one more together, and then I'm going to set you free. Let's do the, let's see, cotangent, because we haven't done a cotangent yet, of negative 540 degrees. Okay, so make your circle. Okay, count this way. So there's negative 360. And if I go another 90, and so get good at adding by 90s, negative 540 minus another 90 since I went this way. So isn't that negative 630? Oh, no, I'm sorry, negative, I don't know what I was doing there. Negative 360 this way, minus another 90. So to get out here would be negative 450. Minus another 90 would take me to here, and that's where I am. I'm right here. Okay, and then cotangent is tangent upside down, so cotangent must be cosine over sine. And if you wanted to, on a unit circle mastery, you don't have time. You really don't have time to do this. You don't have time to do that. You're just kind of expected to know these things. And good luck with that next year. But the idea, just so you have a sense of what you're doing, is this. This is equivalent to the cosine of negative 540 divided by the sine of negative 540. Okay, well, the ordered pair on the unit circle right here, it's just 1 to the left, is negative 1, 0. And so the cosine is negative 1. The sine is 0. And so the cotangent of negative 540 would be undefined. Okay, had the 0 been on top, it would have been 0. Okay, so what I want you to do, and remember, you don't have to do this for me, you're just doing this so that you go into next year being decent at this stuff. I want you to do a bunch of work. This stuff will be very important to you. I want you to do worksheet 13.3. Do all of it. It says 13.3. Worksheet 4.3. Do all of that. Worksheet 11, extra practice. Worksheet UC1. This is the unit circle worksheet. Just know how to make that. Okay, and then what I would kind of recommend is toward the end of the summer, get back onto my website under the Semester 2 worksheet tab, find the final review. There will be some things that we haven't covered. Just skip those things, but give it your best, guys. Good luck next year.